Coaching Space presents to you a story titled The Three Cavemen.
Three cavemen were forced out of their dwellings. A herd of buffaloes had quickly moved south. Winter was coming and food was scarce. They had to make sure there was enough to go around, so the three set out on a journey. Ogre, Nunu, and Tutu only had primitive tools, and this was the first time to see a mass migration of animals. They knew they had to do something, or else they are going to starve. After days of trail hunting, the three had reached an entrance to a dense forest. Ogre signaled that it was unfamiliar territory and that they should head back or else they might encounter fierce predators. Nunu was insistent and told them to keep following the trail or else they will lose the herd. Tutu was quiet and noticed that the weather was getting worse. The three cavemen then decided to go their separate ways. Ogre went back to the cave where he once lived. He hunted rabbits, but it could not sustain him as the winter made it more difficult to catch one. With only a few available, he had to compete with the remaining neighboring cave people, and it would usually end up in bitter fights. What's important for him is that he is in a place where he is more familiar. Though scarce, he can sleep at night knowing that he is in this native land. Nunu kept up his pace and made sure he doesn't lose sight of the herd. Once he catches up with them, he throws his spear and takes the prize all for himself. However, he is on the constant lookout as other ferocious beasts would come out and snatch away his catch. He can barely rest, as the herd would eventually move early the next day. What was important for him is that food is abundant and that there was more than what he ever needed. Tutu stayed in the forest and built a fire. He gathered some loose wood and made himself a shelter. He was observing what was going on around him as it was quite new and he needed time to learn more about the surroundings. He needed to find ways to store food and water. He developed new tools to survive in the wild. He eventually discovered a patch of land where he grew crops and domesticated some animals. It took him time, but what's important for him is that he was learning new skills and had adjusted to the new environment. Indeed, having a growth mindset is a deliberate process. While fear can force us to act, it also takes a lot of faith to go through the process. While surviving is important, sustainability is ultimately what matters. We can't go on with life by just reacting to circumstances. It is far more worthwhile to embrace the discomfort and move on from there. The moment we begin to see life as a race is also the moment we lose touch with our growth and development. In times of challenges, focus on yourself always. Ogre is that part of us that values familiarity, which will make it hard for us to let go of what was once good and stable. Our tendency to go back to where it used to be comfortable is much more a product of our unwillingness to accept the changes. We hold on to something that is not relevant anymore, and we risk on being succumbed to the dissatisfaction that comes with it, resulting in regrets and fault-finding. Nunu is a part of us that values opportunity. We set our eyes on the prize while forgetting our readiness to tackle the unprecedented challenges ahead. We experience short bursts of victory only to get disappointed by its short-lived promises. They do not last long and put us on an ending cycle of battles that would often result in burnout. Tutu is a part of us that values growth. We see every challenge as an opportunity to grow. We recognize the urgency of situations, yet we do not get entangled by the situation, rather we give time to see how we can respond better. It demands us to be honest and to take one step at a time to re-establish our grounds. It pushes us to adapt and develop new skills and habits. It requires discernment to focus more on what's important and not get distracted by what's happening around. This path takes time, so it does not offer immediate results. This is where faith and courage come into play, understanding that growth is the only path to a sustainable future. Life would require each one of us to transform. Like how a caterpillar goes through many phases of development before it can free itself from the old, so too will be our path as individuals. The world is changing fast, and the best thing we can do is prepare. There are no quick solutions to any challenge, but a growth mindset will always take you far.
This presentation is brought to you by Coaching Space. For more information, visit www.coachingspace.info.